Hi everyone, so welcome to the meeting this evening. I just thought I would introduce myself first of all because I know some people here, but I know there are a lot of unfamiliar faces as well. My name's Dr. Rachel Brown. I'm an allopathically traditionally trained doctor as a psychiatrist. I suppose I identified laterally as a metabolic psychiatrist in the UK, but I'm also functional medicine trained and board certified in applied quantum biology. And so it's the latter training in terms of the applied quantum biology where Rachel Maurice and I's paths crossed. And it was back, gosh, I think it was in January of this year in the Quantum Biology Collective. I listened to Rachel giving a talk just about her career journey in the last few years and her exit from mainstream medicine in particular. And that's really how we connected. And gosh, it's been a bit of a whirlwind journey for me. I've learned so much in terms of all the quantum biology stuff this year, but also in terms of this technology. I've been using it now myself for about 7 months and have had significant health improvements and also for my family as well. So I feel really passionate about this. And it's great to have Rachel here to just share her knowledge with everybody about this because she's been doing it for quite a bit longer than me at this point in time. So I know we'll have a few stories to tell. How are you getting on, Rachel?
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you were done.
No, no,
Okay,
I'll hand over to you.
okay. Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. I know when someone was saying Rachel, I'm like, you're talking to two Rachels here. Um, I grew up with another Rachel too, and they used to call us Rachel 1 and Rachel 2. Um, so I'm just going to give a little introduction about myself as well, my background. And then then we have someone on here that I just met. I'm actually trying to look where I can see you. There we go. Yeah. Someone's on here that is going to share a brief testimonial before we get on with the presentation. But it is more than it is more so much more than this technology that I am discovering, and I want to share that at the end with people because it was something I was not expecting, and it's really changed my life in so many ways beyond this patch. But my background is I worked as an anesthesiologist in Canada for close to 20 years. I left in 2021 when the mandates came in here in British Columbia in Canada. I did not think that I was going to be gone for very long because the state of healthcare is such that we need every single person available on hand. But the more time went on, the more I realized that I was not going to be going back for several reasons and realized that I needed to find a way, find a new career path forward because I was not anywhere near retiring, although I don't see retiring the same way now, anyways. But I started doing a lot of learning, digging, uncovering things that did not make any sense to me again, which is how I discovered quantum biology and how Rachel and I came together. And it really radically changed my understanding of how the body works. And I became so excited and so fascinated with light because light is the real driver of all of our physiology and everything that takes place in the body. So when I was introduced to these patches, it was an absolute no-brainer for me because I already understood all of the science behind it. And that's just the kind of person that I am. And it was just so happened to be very timely because my mom's health was declining and declining at a rate where her doctor was talking about heart surgery. And having spent 30 years, 25 of them in the operating room, I did not want my mom to have surgery if she did not have to. And that's just the nature of invasive intervention that just happens, right? You can't avoid potential for complications. And the person I connected with who enrolled me with these patches happened to be Diane Hunt. I don't know if she's on here yet, but she had a career in cardiac surgery. She was a cardiac surgical nurse for 20 years. So I understood that she understood what I knew about what I had seen in medicine because we were basically in the same environment. And she started to not only tell me stories, but show me investigations, echocardiograms, ECGs of patients who had been in heart failure after using these patches for 8, 10, 12 months, no longer being in heart failure. And I just want to emphasize this because I have never seen this in my career without having some kind of artificial pump inserted into a heart. And interesting, on a recent trip I was on, one of the chiropractors was talking about how his father had to have that done, had a pump put in his heart because his heart could not pump the blood out enough to get it going around the body. So that was, again, enough for me. Got my mom on them, and I prefaced her. I thought that I'd prepared her well enough. We're so conditioned to wanting things to happen quickly. And I said, give it a year. Just, you have to be patient. Her second name is Impatience, but I'm like, you have to be patient. So needless to say, I was very shocked when within 2 weeks, she went from having to stop every 2 to 3 steps to catch her breath to walking with me for 20 to 30 minutes on an incline and talking to me at the same time. That made no sense to me from the old model of medicine that I understood. And then within 3 weeks, she had to have her thyroid medication lowered. Again, I did not do that. That was her doctor doing that. She's had a bunch of smaller things, in my opinion, improve, but her energy and such, those were just the significant ones. And I want to, we can share more stories afterwards. I do want to get on with the presentation, but if you're okay, Brenda, I would love Brenda to unmute and share your story, because I don't know if your mom is on now, but no, yeah, we talked about this because we all love our moms, right? We want our moms to get better.
Hi, thank you so much, Rachel. I already have tears in my eyes just thinking of the power of the love of my mother, who is 85 years old. I began patching in February, end of February, early March, and immediately I got my mother on the patches. She has similar health history as Rachel's mother. My mother has afibrillation, which is irregular heart rate. She has arthritis throughout her body. She's had 5 joint replacements, and she's actually doing well with the joint replacements, but they can hurt. She also has neuropathy down her legs, so you haven't been able to touch her legs or barely rub cream on them for a couple years. And very extreme weakness and tiredness in the morning, which was pretty much debilitating, where she would have to use her walker just to get up in the morning and go to the bathroom, but sit on her walker in between. She was too weak to even scramble an egg, and it was getting really close to putting her in a nursing home or some kind of assistant house. And with the patches, and she had 3 failed cardioversions to regulate the heart. That's important to know. Surgery was not an option. It was, but with a very high risk for her heart. And we decided no, not to do that. And the patches came into my life at the right time for me and for my mother. So after I started patching, I saw myself getting some slow results, not immediate, but feeling better. So I started my mom pretty much we'll say the 1st of April, a few weeks after me. Immediately the first week, her energy was up. She was not weak in the morning. She was able to walk without her walker. She still used it just as a crutch, but she really didn't need it. The racing of her heart, you could always see it just kind of moving. Even when I zoomed her, I live in Switzerland, by the way, and she's in America. And her heart became stable. She was able to walk all through the house. She went to the garden. Her nurse, who home health care, was able to massage her legs. The neuropathy is gone. She was with a neurologist for the last 10 years, actually, with no success. And for me, it's just a miracle to see my mom. She feels 10 years younger. She acts 10 years younger. Her cardiologist was amazed at her last checkup a few months ago and said, Marcella, whatever you're doing, continue to do it. Your heart is in stable rhythm now, and reduced her medication 4 milligrams. So again, if you have a mother, they have a mother, whatever, just we can build a business just, I think, around everybody's moms, because my mom started telling all of her friends about this. So I'm happy to share. And thank you, Rachel, for letting me, share that quick story.
Oh, thank you so much, Brenda. And yes, Brenda and I just met this past week. So it's been such a pleasure to get to know you, and thank you for sharing I know that was a last minute request, so I appreciate that.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to ask everyone if they can stay muted because I can't see everything just the way I have it set up. I'm going to screen share and get on with the presentation. And can everyone see my screen? Can I get a thumbs up to, yeah, okay. All right, and I apologize if I don't let people in that come in. I'm not looking at that. But so what we're talking about today really is, it's more than a patch. It's not, I mean, it looks like a little sticker, and so many people think, how can this little, when they first hear about it, how can this little tiny sticker that you put on your body that's the size of a quarter or whatever coin you use, really have that much power? It is more than that. It's about activating our own body's healing. We have been gifted this beautiful, intelligently designed body, and we just need to increase the power as we age. So it's the power of the patch, but it's the power of our body, really. And before we get started, I just want to give a disclaimer. Although I am a medical doctor, I no longer have an active license, so I'm not practicing, and I'm not your medical doctor. So nothing that I am speaking on today is medical advice or any diagnosis. And these products, Lifewave products, are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or medical condition. So why would we even be looking at this? Why would we be searching for something to help in our lives? Because most of us, as we age, or even if we're younger and we have some issues, yeah, I was going to say some medical issues, some symptoms, I would rather say, where we realize our energy just isn't the same as when we were younger. I mean, we look at children, young children or grandchildren, and most people say, like, wouldn't you love to just bottle their energy? And I mean, you could sell it for $1 million because they just are the Energizer bunnies and run around. But as time goes on, the years go by, and whatever your environment is like, that energy starts to be depleted, and we're not able to do the things that we love anymore or would like to or could when we were younger. We struggle to stay active. Think about the activities that you used to do when you were younger, that as time has gone on, either some discomfort or pain has become limiting, or range of motion, or even people not being able to walk. I mean, walking is just a basic ability to move around, but so many people aren't even able to walk anymore. Or you're feeling like your body isn't keeping up. And that is my mom, right? In her mind, she's still 20, 30 years old, but her body just was not keeping up anymore. And also our ability to focus, our mental acuity, that we understand our body, as time goes on, our body does start to break down, but really what keeps us going is our mental capacity, our cognitive function, to be able to interact and communicate and enjoy the connection that we have with people. Really, that's what makes life meaningful. It's the people that we connect with. It's all about connection. So imagine now, if you could get all of these things back, if you could feel more energy, what would that do in your life? If you could stay up to interact with family, maybe after dinner, or if you had the energy just to go for a walk with one of your grandchildren, or sit around and play with them without being tired, without having to take a nap. I know my father takes a nap every single day now. What would it do for your life to be able to think more clearly? And again, that connection that we have with people, our loved ones, our family, our friends. And it does take away sometimes from people when they have lost their memory, when they have lost the ability to articulate and communicate with people. They tend to isolate themselves or stay inside and not socialize anymore. So getting that back can really, really transform the quality of people's lives. And again, moving freely, being able to walk or exercise without discomfort. Think back to maybe some of the activities that you used to do. Imagine getting those back, being able to go and do some sports, swimming. I know one lady, I don't think on the Zoom, but she had an issue where for 30 years, she used to swim and she used to be an equestrian. And for 30 years, all she could do was sit in a chair. And after using these patches for just over 2 months, she was starting to walk again and she was starting to swim again. For her, that was life changing. And now imagine being able to get back or eliminate or alleviate stress. Now, stress is a really big one in life and in the world that is quite dismissed as, well, maybe not in Dr. Rachel Brown's practice, but by the rest of conventional medicine, it's really swept under the rug just how impactful it is physically in our lives, never mind mentally and emotionally. So imagine being able to reduce that stress that gives you more peace of mind, peace in your body. That actually can help you transform your body physically as well. So now what's the problem? This is something that I was not taught in medicine. I don't know if you were, Rachel, but I know we had a lot of medical students and residents coming through. I was in a teaching hospital before I left, so I was always asking questions about whether the system had updated what they were teaching the students, and it had not. It had not been. And stem cells was something that I was taught when you have the sperm and the egg come together and you have the growth of a baby. You need stem cells to grow a baby. As you go through childhood and puberty, again, you've got this growth. But by the end of that, well, what do you need to grow anymore? You don't. So we don't have any more stem cells. Well, that's not true. Our body is actually continually turning over cells, and we have wear and tear, and we need to repair and regenerate those cells. So for example, our gastrointestinal system, our GI tract, our esophagus and our stomach and our intestines, ideally and optimally, we should actually be turning over those cells every 3 to 5 days. We should have a new set of cells in the lining of our gut every 3 to 5 days. That's not what happens because of the environment that we are in and many other things, but that are our red blood cells every 120 days. We should have a whole, that's the life cycle of a red blood cell. So what replaces those cells? It's stem cells. So we have stem cells, and we need stem cells to replace the damaged and dead cells. Otherwise, what happens, and which is what happens, is we don't heal as well, we don't recover from illness. But by the time we are 30, over half of our stem cells have gone dormant, meaning they're not able to replace the cells that are damaged and dead. By the time we are 60, over 90% of our stem cells have gone dormant. So when I learned this, I thought back to my practice in the hospital and all of the patients that I saw, and I realized no wonder all these people can't recover from the surgeries like they used to, or younger people can. Younger people bounce back from things much easier. And the statistics that we have, people languish in the hospitals because it's not a healing setting. But even if you just think back to, so I think I can't see everyone on here, but I'm sure most people are on the older side of things, but think back to when you were 30 years old. What is different today that you cannot do that you used to be able to do? A good amount of that, and a good reason for that, is because your stem cells have gone dormant. So the fewer, just like I said before, the fewer stem cells you have, the faster you age, the slower you heal. So here we have the introduction to the power of light. And this is where Rachel and I love to talk about things. I'm going to try to keep it a little bit short, but it's an intro into how these patches were just an absolute no-brainer for us and anyone that understands phototherapy, because phototherapy is not a new thing. It's just scientifically maybe a new understanding in the modern science world, but we've had the sun forever. That is the original phototherapy. And that's why I said at the beginning, really, everything in our body is run by light, by sunlight, and by the light that we produce. And so Scientifically, we have a word for it called photobiomodulation, and that just means photo, light, bio, the body, modulation, change. So changing what's going on in the body using light. And specifically, when you look at the scientific research, this term focuses on red and infrared light. So there are over 6,000 studies, just so for people who are unaware, on photobiomodulation in PubMed, which is our scientific research repository. So if anyone asks you about that, it's absolutely confirmed. There's no denying that this helps therapeutically with issues that people have. So it's just specific frequencies of light. And many people in the athletic industry, they're on the forefront, they're on the cutting edge of what works. So a whole host of people who are professional sports players, Olympic athletes, if you talk to any of them, they are very well versed in photobiomodulation because it increases tissue repair, and people who push their bodies, they need to repair quickly. So it increases the speed of tissue repair, wound healing, faster recovery, reduces inflammation, reduces pain. There's a whole host of things. So that's just a few things, but that is the introduction to the power of light. And just again, so people really have an understanding, because I know for myself, and I'm sure there are other people on here, I need to understand, I have to have tangible evidence of something to be able to understand and believe it. And so when it comes to light, we know that we have to go outside and get a certain amount of ultraviolet B light that hits our skin to make vitamin D. So it's not the sunlight that's making the vitamin D. It's the signal, the wavelengths, the frequencies from the sun giving information to our body. So our body then creates the vitamin D. The same with a tan, with melanin, making that pigment that makes us look like we have a tan, which is so incredible, by the way. It's not just aesthetic, but it's all our body doing it, but the information is coming from light. So that is how these patches work. These patches work through not introducing anything to the body. They use our own light and increase a specific peptide called GHKCU. Now, you don't have to remember that, but it is a peptide we have in our body. It's human, and it stands for, it's a 3 amino acid peptide: glycine, histidine, and lysine. The K is lysine, and copper. This copper peptide has 50 years of research on it. It was discovered in 1973 by Dr. Lauren Picard, and there is a whole host of research, again, 50 years in PubMed for people who are skeptical about this. All you have to do is go to that body of research. And when it was first discovered, it was understood to be the holy grail of age reversal. It's not even anti-aging, but it's age reversal. And I'm going to get into why. But one of the things it does, and what we were talking about in an earlier slide and talking about stem cells, is because this peptide reactivates your own dormant stem cells. Now, remember I said our stem cells go dormant, and that is the reason we don't heal as well, recover from illness, and we age. So reactivating your own stem cells is going to age reverse you. So how do we increase this copper peptide with this patch? This patch, so again, it's a small one. I've got it on my wrist here, so it's visible. It's really small. You can see it in the palm of the hand there. In the center is a white crystal lattice. So it is a combination of organic materials, amino acids, sugars, salt, and stabilized oxygen, all coming together and forming a crystal lattice. And so that crystal lattice has ridges. It's very thin, so we can't see that, but under a microscope, you could see the crystal, the ridges, and that is how specific frequencies of light that we make are reflected back into the body. So that is, I'm going to get to this person in a minute. The one who created this, David Schmidt, he's brilliant. He's a genius, but he figured out how to combine these materials and reflect specific frequencies of light back into the body to send information to signal our body to increase that copper peptide, GHKCU. So nothing is entering in the body. It's non-transdermal. You might have heard of other patches like nicotine patches or estrogen patches, or dare I even say fentanyl patches. And that just comes to mind because that's what I was used to in the hospital with patients coming to the operating room. Those patches, they actually they introduce something into the body. Something is going from the patch and getting absorbed into the body. Those are transdermal. These patches are non-transdermal. Nothing enters the body. They are non-invasive. And this is, to me, why I get so excited about this, because literally it is reflecting your own light back into your body. So again, that might be something new for some people to know that we make light. We do. We make light in our mitochondria. If you can remember that word back to high school, but you don't have to know the details of it. But once again, we make light. From movies, if you've ever seen any movies where the military used the night vision goggles, there's that red halo around people. That is light. We think of it as heat, but that you can interchange the word heat, light, its frequency. So again, this reactivates your own stem cells through that peptide GHKCU. And I'm repeating myself because repetition is how we learn. So just in case people are wondering. So here, these are just some of the benefits of the X39 patch. It helps with reducing inflammation and pain. And so again, I talked about that with the photobiomodulation, and inflammation is fundamental to almost all chronic diseases. It's not necessarily the cause, but it is across the board. If you have a chronic disease, you have inflammation. So being able to reduce the inflammation can help alleviate symptoms and even alleviate you from having the diagnosis of whatever name you're given by mainstream medicine. Improving strength, stamina, and energy levels. So yes, I talked about the athletes, the Olympic athletes and the professional sports players, because they are using the patches as well. I don't think I have a slide in here, but that's how my son was like, okay, I'm on board. David Beckham, he's all into soccer. David Beckham's using them. One of the Williams sisters, I think, for tennis. Even Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is using them now, but yeah, there are several athletes using them. And not just for, the reason I'm talking about the athletes is it's not just for people who are sick. It's for people who want to take their health to the next level. And they are ones who want peak performance to get an edge. That extra edge means something to them. So going back to, even if you just need more energy to go for a walk or not have a nap during the day so you can spend time with people as opposed to spending your time sleeping more. Improving muscle and bone density, which is something that decreases as we age. And again, mental clarity and reducing stress. I talked about that earlier. Imagine being able to balance your hormones. There are so many hormonal issues. And that's, again, something that Rachel and I love talking about, because light in general, just getting out in the natural light, it runs all of your hormones. It runs everything. So light is a huge part of this. So it absolutely makes sense. It helps with balancing hormones and easing anxiety, improves hair growth and skin appearance. And this is one of those areas I really like to explain a little bit deeper, because we look at hair growth and skin appearance as aesthetic. And while yes, we would all love, a lot of people that I know are complain about losing their hair as they age, or even the color change and the skin, maybe the wrinkles, skin isn't as tight, or you're getting age spots and those things. And while this improves that, it has to do with collagen and increasing collagen. And collagen it goes so much deeper than skin deep. And collagen is the most abundant protein in the body. It makes up all of our fascia and our connective tissue, which hold things together in our body. It forms the infrastructure, the skeleton. And even more importantly, I would say, it is the quantum communication superhighway in the body. So the way that we express health, our cells need to communicate with each other. Otherwise, it will be chaos. And the collagen in our body allows that communication to take place through the water network. And so it is so much more important. The reason that we need an improvement in our collagen, aside from what it looks like on the outside, it's critical to how our body works. It also promotes cellular repair and wound healing, which I talked about, and improves sleep quality. And sleep is another one. Every time I come to this slide and I read this, I think back to so many people that I worked with in the operating room, the people that I worked with, not necessarily the patients, who would always say, I don't need sleep, or I'll sleep when I'm dead, or, I'll catch up on sleep later on. Well, it doesn't work that way. And sleep is just as important, if not more important, than what we're doing when we're awake, because that is when all of the repair takes place. Well, not all, okay, 99% of the repair takes place. So that quality of sleep, if you're not getting the quality, say you're getting 8 hours, but you're not getting the quality, you're not getting the repair and the regeneration that you actually need. So as far as long-term results, within the first few days, over 4,000 genes begin to reset. So they begin to reset to a younger state. Now, I know when I first heard this, I was like, well, what exactly does that mean? They reset. So it was explained to me, and hopefully this can help you understand it. But let's say you're a photographer and you know exactly how to get the lighting right to get the most beautiful picture when you take that picture. Well, if you've got some lighting in one part of the room that's too bright and some that's too dark in another, that's what happens when we age. And so you might get like a wonky picture, or a picture that just doesn't look as nice. So when you get that lighting reset in a way that you have the most beautiful picture, so the most beautiful expression of our health, when we reset these genes back to a younger state, that is what that means. And to give context to this, 4,000 genes, we only have about 20,000 genes in our genome. So 4,000 is over 4,000 is a really significant amount. And again, to give context, many people here might have heard about a chemical called resveratrol, which is talked about from red wine. And you can go to your health food store, pick it up in a bottle because they've marketed it. It's like the most amazing thing is what we hear. Well, it's got all of this attention because it resets 2 genes in our genome. 2, and they're marketing it and selling it, and people are buying it and guzzling back red wine thinking that they're going to get benefit from it. This resets over 4,000 genes. So I just really, again, wanted to emphasize that. Within 6 weeks, the brain becomes more balanced. And again, what does that mean? It means the right side of the brain and the left side of the brain are speaking to each other again, because in our modern world, that's very disconnected. And we need connection, communication within our body to express health properly. Within 3 months, collagen is increased, which I talked about. And within 6 months, the heart reverses in age. And I love this quote from David Schmidt. It's not anti-aging, it's age reversal. So how do we wear it? Again, I find myself repeating this over and over again. Oh, this is my favorite part. This is my favorite part every time I get to something. But this is the simplest thing that I have ever come across in all of my years and 30 years of medicine. Not that there's any healing per se there, but all of the alternative and holistic stuff I've come across as well. Because you literally, it's a sticker that you peel the backing off, you stick it on your body. We can talk about placement in a minute. You stick it on your body, you wear it for 12 hours, you go about your day. It does not interfere with anything that you do in your day. It doesn't take any time out of your day to go anywhere to get a treatment. It's not something that is restrictive on your body. You take it off after 12 hours. You can either throw it away or you can put it on your pet, which is what I do. I put it on my dog's collar, and I put her collar on the next day because it increases energy. So I don't want her energy increased at night. And she gets the rest, the 4 to 6 hours that is left in the patch after that. But we only wear it for 12 hours a day because we need to give our body a rest, just like we don't live under the sun for 24 hours a day. There is a stimulation that happens, and we need to give our body a rest so that we, again, respond to that stimulation the next day. We put a new patch on, we repeat that. And so the question is, well, how long do you repeat it for? And some people say, well, does that mean I have to use this for the rest of my life? And one of the things that I'll explain, I've got a couple of things in mind here, but what I do respond is, okay, so when you exercise and you get into shape and you get your body, a lot of people are focused on the physical appearance, you get your body looking the way you want it to, do you stop exercising? Right? When you get on track to eat healthy, you want to eat whole foods and make sure you're putting nutritious food into your body. Well, okay, do you stop doing that after 6 months and then just start eating the processed foods again? So I realize that a lot of people think, well, I need to eat to live. And yes, exercise, we know that we need to do that. And this is something else that is extra. However, our modern world is not the way our body was designed to live under. We've got a lot of extra stresses. And so our body needs support these days. So really the minimum you want to try these patches for, if you give it a try, is 90 days, 3 months, because the research shows that 97% of people see an effect by 90 days. So if someone approaches me and says they want to try it for 30 days, I say there's really no point in bothering. If you come back when you're ready to do 90 days, because realistically, when your doctor says you got to take this diabetes medication, do you say, well, I'll just try it for a month and see if it works? Right? No, people go to the doctor and the doctor says, you have to take this for the rest of your life. And they go, okay, I guess I'm taking it for the rest of my life. Right? I think the group here is ready to take back responsibility for their own health. So maybe this is a different context, but you go to your doctor. Most people who do that just say, yes, okay, whatever the doctor says. So this is really 3 months. The recommendation is a month for every decade that you've been alive on the planet to get the full reactivation of your dormant stem cells. But if you are anything like me, I am all about prevention, because I'm telling you, after 30 years spent in the hospital setting, I do not ever want to have to go there if I don't have to. So I will do anything in my power. And again, this is why I love this. This is holistic. This is the most natural thing that I've come across, because nothing's entering the body. It is just supporting what your body's already designed to do. So this is, for me, a preventative strategy. And again, because the world is not, it's not the way it was designed now, our modern world. My kids are both wearing them. My mom, obviously, I talked about earlier, is wearing it. And this is something I've gotten rid of. 99% of my supplements I was taking before. And how many people go into the store and go into the health food section and walk out hundreds of dollars later with whatever supplements they were told to get by their naturopath, thinking they're getting away from allopathic medicine, they're going to their naturopath, but you're still having to go buy things. If your body's not working properly, those things in the bottle aren't going to do anything anyways. I kind of went off and digressed a little bit, but you can tell I'm a little passionate about this. You want to make sure that you also drink lots of water when you use these patches, because again, when I talked earlier about the collagen, the communication, the light travels through the water network in our body. So it's really important that you are hydrated. And there's so many things dehydrating us in our environment today. Water, it's not just about drinking water, it's about making sure you've got electrolytes in the water, because that holds the water in place. It also holds the charge, which allows that light to move. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go out and buy electrolyte powders. I use salt, unrefined salts. So something like Himalayan, Redmond's real salt, Celtic sea salt. But the key is unrefined, because then you still have all of those minerals attached. I'm not talking about table salt. That is not what I'm talking about. That's refined. And also, because these patches work through increasing the copper peptide, it's important that we have copper in our system to be able to make this peptide. Now, we didn't used to have to focus on this before, because we could get plenty of it by just eating a balanced diet. But nowadays, because of modern agricultural practices, we do have to focus on eating copper, or eating foods that have copper. And so ones that are high in copper at the top of the list, organ meats, everyone's favorite. I actually just grind it up and put it in when I make burgers and other things, so that the kids can't taste that. But I also, just for anyone interested, for my kids, I use desiccated organ meat pills. So it's literally just desiccated. There's no fillers, there's no extras. So that's what I use for my kids. But seafood, oysters, they're a superfood for so many reasons. Again, I can't handle oysters, but shellfish. For those who don't eat any meat, avocados, and these are just some foods, avocados, nuts in particular, cashews. But again, that just means eating a little bit. Doesn't mean eating a whole bag of cashews, sunflower seeds, and probably everyone's favorite would be to go to that small square of dark chocolate, which would be enough copper for the day. Just a small square. You don't need to eat the whole bar. And so what to expect? This can be challenging for some people, even when they hear it, even when they know. I still get the questions. Well, okay, it's been 3 months and my headaches are still there. So our body, like I had said earlier, our body is very intelligently designed. It knows what needs to be healed first, in what sequence and in what priority. We all come into this world with a different set of genetic instructions. We all are different. We've been alive a different number of years on the planet. We have had different environmental experiences, emotional, physical environment, traumatic environment. So we all have a different load on our body, stress load. And so just because someone else within a week, their headaches went away and then yours didn't after 3 months, it doesn't mean that there's nothing else going on and that something else isn't being healed, because your body goes to work where it is needed. And you might not feel that. There are people, I have heard personally stories of people who, for example, one person who had kidney failure and wore the patches for 6 months, did not feel a thing, but because they had kidney failure, they were being monitored. And after 6 months, they no longer had kidney failure. But if they just went up based on what they felt like, they would have thought the patches weren't working, which is what I hear a lot when people don't feel it. Another person who has a kidney transplant, who I've now become friends with, he, and this is a positive, he spun it as a positive, not for him, but he is on anti-rejection medication, because when you take a foreign organ in, your body, your immune system is normally going to try to get it out. It's not part of your body, so it does not want it there. It's foreign. So he's on medication to suppress his immune system. Well, he is now just, I think it's been 9 months. He was wearing the X39. Things were great, but his team now, his transplant team has said it looks like he is starting to reject his kidney. And that is because his immune system has been ramped up. So that just is more proof that these patches help increase your immune function. So things happen even if you don't feel them. If you're tired, a lot of people have increased energy right away, but some people feel tired. And I liken that to, most people have a cell phone here. And when you've got a full battery, you can do any function on your cell phone. But when you start to get to 50%, or even you get to low battery mode, things start to turn off. That screen shuts off. You can't live stream. There's a whole bunch of things you can't do. It's the same with your body. Your body it's conserving the energy in the phone to what is priority. Your body does the same thing. So honor that, know that things are working, and allow yourself the rest so that you can put that energy to where it's needed to help with fixing things. So get the extra sleep, make sure you're breathing as well properly. Most of us actually don't breathe properly. We breathe from our upper chest and our neck muscles, our accessory muscles. We want diaphragmatic breathing to pull in the oxygen, because the oxygen is where and how we make that energy in our body. So without going into detail, if you can breathe, try to breathe as much through your nose as possible. That will help you get into diaphragmatic breathing. So here we have an example of a 77-year-old woman who, on the left-hand side, this is a brain scan. She had not started using the patch yet. You can see there's a lot of red there. That shows that there's a lot of inflammation. What we want is light blue and green. So there's not a lot of that. There's some dark blue. Session 2 in the middle is only 3 weeks after using the X39. You can see there's no more red, so no more inflammation. That's only 3 weeks. and there's no inflammation in her brain. Starting to get a little bit more of the green and light blue, but on the right-hand side, that's 6 weeks after using the X39. Again, still no red, no inflammation, and a lot more of that green and light blue. And again, that is coherence. That means the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain are speaking to each other. That's what we want. That's only 6 weeks. Here we have some images, and I wish I had a different image. Actually, I should change it on the left with hair growth, because we have this one gentleman in our group who's 35, one of our brand partners, her son, who had alopecia for 10 years. So it's an autoimmune disease. You can't completely bald. They tried everything to get some hair growth. Nothing worked. And for him, 6 days being on the X39, he started to have some peach fuzz growth. And then 2.5 months, he's got about 1/2 inch of hair growth. That's amazing. You can see on here some images. The one that's most visible, I think, is on the bottom left of the gentleman with that bald patch in the middle. I don't know the time frame of this one, but you can see there's more hair growth that has come in. And this image on the right, the lady with scoliosis, it gets me every time I see it, because this is only a month of using the X39, and you can see the curvature of her spine just straighten out after 4 weeks. Now, she does have a couple of other patches on here. The Icewave, that is just strictly for pain, so it doesn't have to do with the fact that her spine has straightened out. And here on the left-hand side, we have this woman who has what's called vitiligo. Really what that means is just areas of depigmentation. I talked about the melanin where you get a tan, that melanin in the skin. So this is where there are patches of skin where there is no melanin. And she, again, tried everything that mainstream had to help her. Nothing worked. On the right-hand side, you can see the color of her skin looks different, but the important part is the fact that there's no patchy areas without pigment. She's got a nice uniform color across her back. And on the right-hand side, we've got an image of a knee. I know it might not look like it to people, but this is after knee replacement. On the left-hand side, that is the incision, and yeah, the wound where the knee is healing. And on the right-hand side, that's only 2 days after using the patch. That is really fast wound healing. From someone who saw this in the OR for 25 years, I can tell you this is extremely fast wound healing. And one of the ophthalmology plastic surgeons that I know, he uses these patches with every single patient, because he said the wound healing that he sees used to take 3 months, he now sees in 3 weeks. So I would be remiss without talking about the inventor, because he's half the reason that I'm so passionate about this company and the technology. He's the heart and soul behind it. His name is David Schmidt. He's a scientist, inventor, founder. The company is 20 years old, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but he did not start out thinking he was going to be sharing this with the public. He was an independent contractor, inventor, working with the Navy SEALs, creating emergency survival equipment. This slide is old. He's got, I think it's close to 250 patents already. I don't even know someone who's got 1 patent, let alone like 250. But yeah, there are over 80 clinical trials. It's over 80 now. So the scientific method, my dad had asked me, well, do they have the randomized controlled double-blind placebo? I'm like, yes, actually they do. So for anyone who is looking for the science behind that, the research is there. And as I said, it's a 20-year-old company. It's in over 80 countries in the world. And the company really took off when this patch was introduced. So the very first patch that was created was called the Energy Enhancer. That was the one used for the Navy SEALs, so that they didn't have to rely upon stimulants and all of the problems that come along with that, side effects, addictive nature. He used these patches because they had missions of, they had to be focused, right? That if they messed up, their life and the life of their team could be over. So that was the first introduction of the patch. He created a bunch of patches until I think it was 12 years ago that he decided that regenerative medicine was where it was at, and he went and focused on researching stem cells. And it was 2019 that the X39 was released to the public, and that is when the company went from being a $20 million a year company to over 600 million, and they're on track for over $1 billion this year. And I've heard a lot of things I've been to a lot of in-person events and new information coming out, but this is only the start, these patches, the X39. What he has already set to be released, and it's not just about patches, it's about free energy. There's a water machine that has just recently come out, but this man is only just getting going. It is not, yeah, I just had to share that because it's not even just about these patches. So there is a patent, this patch, the X39 is patented, 20-year patent, we're only 4 years in. So that means there is nothing else on the market like this. There are some other patches, they do not do what this patch does. So just so you're aware of that. And it's a 22-page patent. You can go read about it. There's a website here called thisisitinfo.com that has the case studies. It's got the patent. You can read the full patent. You can read testimonies on there. But really, it boils down to this one paragraph that's written on here that is the embodiments as results of elevating copper peptide, including activation of stem cells, energy improvements, and elevation of antioxidants. And I just want to bring up here as well, because this has come up more recently. Some people have gone to Amazon, they've gone to Walmart, they've gone to like eBay and said, well, oh, I can find it elsewhere. Why do I have to buy it through you? Just so you are aware, especially the ones on eBay and the ones on Walmart are fraudulent. They are not the real deal. They come from China. Who knows what they are, what's in them even, but it is illegal to sell them outside of how David Schmidt has set this up. And it was illegal. So many people were selling them on Amazon illegally. And what David Schmidt did was he made a deal with Amazon that he would agree to sell them through the company if they would not allow anybody else on there, because you can sell your own stuff. You can have an Amazon account, a Walmart account, and sell things yourself. But they upcharge. So if you go to Amazon and buy these patches off of Amazon, you will be charged more than getting it through. For example, if you came to this Zoom via Rachel or whoever brought you to this Zoom would like you to go back to that person. Amazon, you'll be charged more. And the other ones where you think it's cheaper, they're not the real deal. So the results go far beyond the surface. From even though if you find healing physically, you're able to do better things. It changes the entire quality of your life, right? Your confidence, more energy to do things. What matters. It's all about quality of life. That's what we're here for. That's why we're on the planet, right? To enjoy the quality of life. So healing from the inside out. And there is also an opportunity in this company for financial freedom, anywhere from getting your patches paid for so you don't feel like you're putting out extra money, to an extra $500 a month, to making it something that you are able to rely on for your finances. And there are 3 ways to enroll. One is a retail customer, which I don't know why anyone would actually do that, because it's the most expensive and there's no need for that. The other is a preferred customer, where you get wholesale pricing at $99.95 US. And as a customer, though, you're using the product, but you can't share it. So I always encourage people to sign up as a brand partner, which again, you get the wholesale pricing, $99.95 US for a month's worth of the patches, 30 days. There is 0 obligation to the business. So you can just buy them, and you actually get the best value because you can buy them in bulk, and there are so many other ways to get them at a better price. So even if you have 0 interest in sharing it, which is, even when people say that, they end up sharing it, because how many times do you walk around and say you just went to the best restaurant and you tell your friends like, oh, you got to go to this restaurant because it's amazing. I just had the best food, whatever food it is, whatever clothing store, whatever gym you go to, you share what's going on in your life. So even if it's just close friends and family, we wind up sharing it. So if you enroll as a brand partner, you can then share with those people. and you never know where that will take them. So as a brand partner, there are 3 ways, 3 different packages to join with. The core is $295 for 3 months worth. Again, remember I talked about the 90 days. You really want to commit to 90 days, and it's about committing. It's not about trying, it's about committing. Advanced is $535 for 6 months worth. So there's a little bit of a discount there, depending on how many people in your family. And the premium, if you've got I went with the premium because I wanted my mom and both my kids and myself. And so you get a much bigger discount there. And you also it opens up, if you're business minded, if you're interested in that at all, it's a benefit for the business. So anyone who is thinking about this, again, please go back to the person who invited you to this Zoom to answer any further questions that don't get answered on this Zoom, but I will stop my screen share here. And okay, timing was good. I was afraid I was going to go way over. All right, so if anyone has any questions, if you can raise your hand, just because of the view that I have, I wouldn't be able to see. I don't know if you can see Rachel either, or if there's anything you want to add, Rachel.
I'm happy to talk about my experience if anyone wants to know, but I saw Anne there with her hand up. So do you want to go first, Anne?
Thank you so much. Well, it was good to hear this again because Rachel, you sent this to me before, and it was very confusing the first time, especially to try and understand all the different patches and the packages and all that stuff. But you also sent me a thing from, is it the founder of this company? And I listened to that, and he was saying that it was a formula from God that had created the structure of the mesh, or sent him for the structure of the mesh. And I found that a bit off-putting, if you like. I mean, I'm very happy to believe everything that you guys have said, but I have found a few people, since you've mentioned these to me, I've had a few people who have used them, and okay, they've only used them for 3 months, but none of them have had any benefit. So I'm just wondering what you would say to that, because I'm desperate for this to work. I would really, really love this to work.
Right. Okay. So
I
first,
don't know how it does work.
right. Okay. So first thing, just about David Schmidt, he talks about getting downloads from God. I mean, that's his background. He doesn't. I would say honestly, if you listen to him, that's maybe a very small fraction of what he talks about. But what he's being very humble, right? He's saying where this information is coming from is
so it's not something he scientifically discovered and found out and discovered, experimentally discovered how it worked.
Well, yes, but the idea of it, he feels he absolutely has gone through all the scientific rigor. I just said, there are over 80 clinical studies. Like it was scientifically put together, but the idea for it, no one else has come up with this.
Oh, okay. So how do we find those? Are you saying in PubMed? How do we get to that? How do we find that? If I want to look up some of the research that's been done on it.
So first of all, so that website that I gave, the thisisitinfo.com,
yeah,
has those scientific research studies on it.
Okay.
And there's actually this was just shown to me recently on this past trip. There is something in that website. I'm just looking it up here.
I thought you were saying it was the patent. So it's thisisitinfo.com.
It has the patent.
Yeah.
It has the research.
Okay.
It has videos.
Uh-huh.
It has testimonials. So that website is a landing page that has a lot of information. It's not just one thing.
And what is the website again? Thisisitinfo.com.
Let me put it in the chat so that. For people who, okay, there's lots of chat and stuff in the chat. I was not.
Yeah, so it is info.com. Okay, thank you. Because yeah, so you have explained a bit about because the people I've spoken to have used it for 30 days and it's quite expensive. So I suppose they committed to 30 days and they said we hadn't felt a thing. So on that last slide, it was saying to use it for 6 to 10 months to fully benefit at a cellular level, because I was led to believe that it's working on the mitochondria of your body to increase your energy.
So that's one of the things that it is doing. But remember, I said it resets over 4,000 genes.
And
So-
okay, and is the research for that on thisisit.info.com? Because I don't know what you mean by a reset of a gene. What does that mean?
Yeah, so that's what I did try to explain that in the presentation so that you could, it's resetting to a younger state. We express genes at a younger state in a certain way. As we age, the expression of that gene is different. Expression means that gene gives instructions to make a protein.
Yeah, so the defects are less. The misalignments of the amino acids are less.
And what the proteins that are being made are what, when we're younger, like I was explaining the lighting, a photographer creates the lighting in such a way where you have a beautiful image.
Yeah.
Beautiful image is the expression of our body when we're younger. And if you have some lighting that, is out of whack, it's too bright in some areas and some lights go out, well, that is like as we age. And then that image is not beautiful like it was before. So if you reset that lighting, you reset the genes back to the younger state, you're going to get the expression of health.
So they're reversing the, I've forgotten the word now, but when the ATG, the peptide, they're reversing the inconsistent, the incorrection, that when they're not copied correctly, it's reversing that.
Well, I don't know exactly.
Okay.
I can't give you the exact, the exact, whether it's uridine,
Yeah, no, but it at a more scientific level, that's what I'm probing you for, I suppose, rather than the descriptive level. So, because I have a scientific background, so I would like to know how it's doing that in a gene.
So that would be, you would go look up GHKCU in PubMed, because that's where there's 50 years of research.
GHKCU on PubMed. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And is it literally PubMed or is it Publish Medical, whatever?
No, it's pubmed.gov. I think it PubMed. Now I'd have to look PubMed. If you type in PubMed, you're going to get it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You could also look on, I was just going to say Google Scholar has plenty of research articles as well. So just one of those research databases.
Okay. Thank you.
I just wanted to address a couple of other things that you had said.
Yeah.
One of the things that you said that it was expensive. So to me, it's what is the priority in your life? Because I spoke to one kid, he was young, he's a bodybuilder. That's not his job. That was an aside thing. And when I told him about this and he said, oh, that's kind of steep. And I said, okay, let me ask you, do you buy any protein powders? And he kind of bowed his head, right? How many supplements do you buy? People drink wine without a thought. They'd go out to dinner. They spend $150 on dinner once a month.
I'm not like that. And I live with a guy who is quite difficult to spend money on stuff that isn't definite. And so, I would love to try this, but I would need to know, is it 3 months or is it 6 to 10 months when you can expect to feel something different?
Well, so what I can tell you, so I don't know if you heard what I said about the person with kidney failure who 6 months and did not feel anything.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily in the feeling. People also get very used to living a certain way, and when they might not notice the changes as they occur subtly. And oftentimes it's other family members that point out to them, do you know that you're actually walking up the stairs now without that limp?
Okay.
They didn't pay attention to that. So people who say they don't feel anything oftentimes are not paying attention to what's gone on in their bodies. and they don't notice when things disappear. They might not notice when that floater disappears in their eye, or that their hair might be turning back darker, because that's happened to a lot of people.
Okay.
Some people have, the longer they use these patches, the more miracles happen. So people are losing their prescription glasses. They're losing, my mom's friend after 2 months no longer needed his reading glasses. He still had headaches. That was a problem for him. He
So
tried.
what would you say to me then, that I've tried to do a little bit of research on this myself, and just by talking to people, and the people that I have spoken to, admittedly they have only used it for 3 months, haven't felt any different at all. And okay, they might not be, but I mean, these are therapists who are very, au fait with their bodies, and are, very interested in natural health, and they haven't noticed any difference, and it worries me. How long would you say you should give it a good shot for?
So the problem, there are user error issues. If you are not hydrated, these patches are
These people would
very well.
be, they'd be fine.
No, but hydration goes beyond, and I don't know how, if you're connected with Rachel. Like
Yeah.
so you're well aware of the quantum, like anything, if you're wearing an Apple Watch, if you're wearing AirPods, if you're surrounded by Wi-Fi, if all of that stuff is very dehydrating. So while drinking water is not it's not the way to true hydration. I mean, it's what we have to focus on here. But if you're dehydrated, that's a user error that people don't think about. If you're not getting adequate copper in your diet, if you don't have the electrolytes balanced, people will wear the patches if they're not consistent with wearing the patches, if they're not wearing them for the 12 hours.
I think they would be, with the price that they have paid for them, I'm sure of that. Yeah. Okay, so
I would just honestly, with my knowledge, experience, and understanding, these patches work. If these patches work on everybody, it's a matter of time, and it's a matter of making sure you have the right inputs. So $3.50, it's US, $3.50 US. I'm Canadian, so it's more than that. It's like $5 a day for me. But I would rather put my money towards that, and this is my prevention strategy, than if you gave a choice of all these holistic things in front of me, this would be at the top of the list.
okay.
And because the world that we live in, we're under assault every day, from in our food, and our water, and the air. All the electromagnetic smog that we're living in. Our body needs support. And I can't, I'm not here to convince you. I'm here for the people that are ready to give it a try. There are so many testimonials. The more you plug in, the more stories you hear, the more miracles. It is undeniable. There are so many medical doctors involved, functional doctors, integrative, chiropractors. It is undeniable. And if you need to base what you're going to do on research, because I have my own thoughts on evidence-based research.
Well, I understand that too. Yeah, I have my own thoughts on that too. Yeah.
I don't want to convince you to do anything. It's your decision, right?
But you have to give enough information to convince somebody. All right, I feel like I've taken a lot of time from everybody else, so I'll let somebody else ask a question. Thank you very much, Rachel. Thank you.
You're welcome. I would say that anybody that I've been working with, and all of the leaders would probably say that I've given 1,000 times more information than I should be on this Zoom.
I think you need more than just testimonials, though.
Okay. Can I just, I'm aware somebody else's hand has been up. It's
Sure.
Rachel and Andy, do you want to ask a question?
Hi, Rachel. Yeah, I've got a couple of questions if there's time. But I was just wondering if Dr. Rachel has ever heard of any testimonials from people with ME/CFS at all, anything specific to that condition, and improvements with the patches.
I have not, but I have not looked either. But I also, the way I address that is we've done such a good job in modern medicine of labeling things and creating names for really our body just being out of balance, and everyone's different how that shows up. And these patches help your body to restore on a cellular level, which is really where the breakdown occurs with everything. We've just given things names. So it restores health on a cellular level. So really it can work on anything.
Mm.
But I have not specifically looked at that or heard of anything.
Okay. Yeah.
Tied.
Thank you. Yeah, and sorry, apologies if this, please say if this is kind of too far off topic, I'm not quite sure, but I've been thinking about this from like a mind-body syndrome point of view and neuroplasticity, and thinking about the fact that our thoughts have the power to influence our DNA. Some people even saying that up to 90% of disease is rooted in our thoughts. And I guess I'm trying to sort of consolidate the fact that the patches work on DNA and work on our genetics. But other doctors are saying that our thought life, and for example, if you're in a state of fear, that achieving healing can be very difficult. So sorry if this is slightly off topic. I'm not sure if it's on topic or not, but how would you kind of consolidate those two sort of, I guess, some doctors would say the thoughts are just so important to disease state. So do the patches kind of override those thoughts if someone was in, a very negative mindset?
So I know Rachel can probably chime in here too, but I'm very much of the same mind. Absolutely. Our thoughts are extremely powerful, and they have the ability to create disease. I will give an example. When I went through my divorce, I was highly stressed and in fear, and I gave myself an ulcer, and I had esophageal spasm, thought I was having a heart attack. I did that to myself with my anxiety and my thoughts. I know that. It's absolutely powerful. The challenge, because it's easy to get us in fear. The challenge is to get us into a positive state of mind. And that's also one thing where I feel these patches help and benefit. And so many people that I have now shared with, because it's been 15 months for me, that they started to use these patches for a physical problem and didn't even realize how much stress or emotional issues they had until those lifted with the use of the patch. So these patches, I don't know exactly the extent to what you're getting at. Like, the patches are not doing anything to your DNA. The patches are enhancing your own body's mechanisms. So there's nothing foreign that's happening to your body. The body is using your own healing mechanisms. So your body's not going to do things that are maladaptive. I mean, they're adapting. They might, with our modern world, we express disease because our body is adapting to these foreign signals, but your body's only going to do what it deems necessary and it needs to do. And on side with the thoughts, because some people say, well, this is placebo. And I would even say, like, well, okay, so what if it's placebo, if it's working? But there's a patent, and what I understand now is you can't patent a placebo, but you just look around. Children don't understand the power of you can't have placebo effect on children, on small children, on babies. You can't have a placebo effect on animals. And I mean, this is used widely in veterinary, especially with horses. Like, you cannot have a placebo effect. And you've got skeptics all over the place that a spouse is like, just put it on, and they just slap it on them, right? Like, it's usually a woman and they slap it on their husband. The husband's like, I don't really believe this thing. And then the husband has all these changes. Or I'll give an example of my daughter. My daughter is like, yeah, okay, whatever, mom. She's wearing them, but she's like, I don't feel anything. She wasn't consistent. And she hurt her hand. She was really swollen. She thought she broke her hand, but she didn't. It was just where she hurt it. It was really swollen. So she came over. She was at her dad's. She came to my house after school one day, and I said, okay, well, will you wear another patch? And she just rolled her eyes at me. And I said, and she said, okay, fine. right? And she's like, but I'll only wear it at night because she doesn't want it visible at school. So I give her 3 of them and she goes back to her dad's. I meet her between work one day and we just went and had a tea between the 2 places she works. And I had forgotten about it. And then I said, how's your hand? And she started laughing. And I said, well, why is that funny? And she said, well, you know how I don't believe you that these things work. And I said, yeah. And she said, well, I put the patch on just on the like web part of her hand here. That's where it was all swollen. She said, I put it on and she's like, and the pain went away. And she's like, so I took it off and the pain came back. I put it on and the pain went away. And so I'm like, yeah, okay, well, see, I might be right about some things, but, so people who are skeptical, right? So the power of the mind, you'd think if it's a placebo, they would have to believe it, but if they don't believe it, yet it still works on them, it's not placebo. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I don't know if you want to add anything, Rachel.
Just in relation to the thoughts, I absolutely agree about it's very difficult to heal when you're in a fear-based mindset or state. But I was thinking back to the slide that you showed, Rachel, in terms of the brain coherence after 6 weeks and how I can't see any reason how that would actually change your thoughts other than in a more positive way to support your body to be able to have more positive healing thoughts for your particular situation. So being able to think rationally without necessarily having chaos and inflammation at a cellular level in the body. And the only other thing to add is I've seen quite a number of testimonials about dogs as well. So people with older dogs putting the patch on their dogs, particularly with pain, arthritis, and mobility issues, and some really, amazing testimonials that way. So just in terms of pets not having a placebo effect.
Right.
I don't see any other hands up.
I was just looking through the chat and I don't know if this is just short. Jack Crow. Someone's saying about negative reviews and I don't know, some very concerning. So what I would say to that is you're going to get negative reviews on anything. Anything. I mean, I don't know. If you go look at the pharmaceutical industry and all of the insert, when you go fill out a prescription, you've got pages of, well, you could have this, this, and this, and death, and this, and I mean, and people still pop those pills like they don't even question it, right? And so just again, going back to nothing is entering there's literally no downside to this. That's the way I see it. And Brenda was saying her husband's eyesight improved. Is that what you were writing in there, Brenda? And then Ebal, yes, it's recorded. It's being recorded. Oh, and you would like to reorder. So I don't know who you signed up through. Is that Ebal Jonas? Is that someone you know, Rachel? If you can go to the person, do you need a prescriber for a discount? So I'm not sure how you signed up. Oh, your hand is up. Maybe you can unmute. Oh no, that was sorry. Now I'm getting confused at who I see. Yeah, maybe you can go back to the person who signed you up. If there was no one that signed you up, then maybe put your hand up and we can address that here or talk afterwards. But in the meantime, I do see is it Jack Crow? You can unmute.
Yeah, hi, me. Sorry, I was off camera because look, I've washed my hair. Oh, who cares? It's hair wash night. Yeah, I was just playing devil's advocate, really, saying about the negative reviews on Trustpilot. I was just having a look because some of them are really like, wow, but then others are like terrible customer service. You can't cancel if you want to cancel, and some of them are really bad with people like. I know what you're saying, you'll always find negative reviews. And also I'm thinking, if this product's as good as that, there's going to be people out there trying to diss it on purpose anyway, aren't they? Because I was even thinking, are these bots on Trustpilot? Are they? So yeah, but I don't know, but I already came across these about a year ago through Alex Zek. I don't know if any of you guys on here follow him. And you know, all the guys that are kind of promoting this are all, and the gals, all the ladies and the gents are people that whose kind of ethos and viewpoints and things on life are ones that align with me. And like yourself, Rachel. So yeah, I mean, I just think it's got to be a good thing. But you know that thing sometimes you think something is too good to be true because it does sound so good. And like I keep coming back to it. Like I said, I came across it over a year ago, and I'm still like haven't made the leap to actually buy any. You know, it's mad, isn't it? It's like the way your brain's like wired up, really, and how we're also indoctrinated a certain way that. And it's silly because I will buy supplements and all kinds of other weird stuff. So why don't I just go and try it, you know? So I don't really have a question. I'm just sort of sharing my thoughts.
Well, thank you. And that just actually brought to mind for me one of the most miraculous things, and really why, and I don't say it all the time, and it depends, I guess, is what I've seen, and it's really the more you see, like in real life, in front of your eyes, not just reading, but I have two friends who were severely injured by the COVID jab, like severely, who have gotten their lives back. Like you, with all the supplements and all of the treatments and the protocols and all this kind of stuff out there, like if you've been harmed, nothing's working, really. I mean, there's lots of people that follow lots of things, you know, that they say, well, this works and this works. And, you know, we've got Brian Artis with like take nicotine, chew nicotine gum and nicotine patches. And this literally, you know, and people with whatever long COVID is, a friend's mom, 3 years, they had to move her cities like down here because she couldn't function. She couldn't cook. She was sleeping all the time. She's gotten her life back in 3 months. It just, I know, Anne, you say we can't go on stories. Like, I don't know. I'm sorry. I spent 30 years in medicine. I've never seen anything like this. All I saw was, you know, at best, delaying the decline in disease at best. And with all of the scientific rigor behind everything that is done in medicine. So I know that you're going to get that extreme part is coming out in me because I do still have, you know, I feel like what I've been taught, there's just so much of what I've been taught left so much out of it on purpose. So anyways, okay, thank you.
I agree with you on that, Rachel. So I just want to echo that.
Okay.
Do we have time for another question or two?
I'm fine if you're okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just ducking out to get sunset, but carry on.
Oh. Can if you want. I'm happy to.
Nikki, do you want to go next? I see your hand up.
Hi everyone. I know it's probably pretty late in the UK, but it's only noon in here in Kamloops. I'm just not far from Rachel's actually house. Our daughters are best friends. So I was introduced to the patch a couple of weeks ago, really, from Rachel. So I sort of wanted to direct this a little bit to you and just give you my experience. My husband has rheumatoid arthritis. My stepdad, and my mom have both started the same time as me, or myself and my husband. And I have had years and years and years of working with doctors, rheumatism doctors, you know, general practitioners, trying to get on top of the pain in my own body. I had endometriosis and had my had a full hysterectomy at 40, so 13 years ago. Since then, I've suffered from joint pain, hives, just unexplainable stuff. I've tried everything, every health thing I could think of, short of going on the biologics and the really tough drugs that my husband is already on, the methotrexate, the hydroxyquin. So I feel like I've tried everything. I'm all about energy. I meditate. I do all the things. And I've been on this for 2 weeks, and I tell you, it's already starting to change my life. I'm sleeping better. I'm waking up in the morning and my ankles are not as stiff. I used to have to take about 20 minutes to get things moving. Now my ankles are less stiff. I'm not getting heartburn, which is odd, like just random. I, I'm trying to think of the things that are all changing. It's so much happening at once. My gut issues, I haven't had the gut issues I generally have, and this is in the last week. I can't explain it. I love it. I am so stoked about this. I feel like I'm getting stronger every day. I have way more energy. I don't feel like that 3 o'clock crash every day where I needed either caffeine or, you know, maybe even a quick nap. It's happening very quickly for me. My parents, they, on the other hand, are not happening quite as quickly. And yet I'm looking at them and they're glowing. And they did a hike the other day where my mom was literally crawling, she said, on her hands and knees. They were out looking for agates and up through blowdown, which is trees blowing down in a terribly windy area. And she came down the hill. He was holding her to get down this hill. And the next day, neither of them were sore, stiff. My mom's 70, my stepdad is 69, and they don't do that on a regular basis. And I was like, are you not stiff? Are you not sore? And they're like, no, we actually feel amazing. So that's 2 weeks. So I can't even imagine what 6 months is going to do. My husband with the rheumatoid, unfortunately, he works away on emergencies for train wrecks. So he's been off the patch for a week. I didn't get to give him an envelope to continue on day by day, but as soon as he gets back, we're going to stock them up in his truck and make sure he's always got them. So I can't speak to him, but I am definitely seeing changes, Anne, and I am about faith. I am about trust, and I trust Rachel implicitly. But I also can feel it. I know this is happening because of the patch. It's not a placebo for me. Anyway, yeah, I'm thrilled. So I hope you all find what you're looking for with the patch. And thank you, Rachel and Rachel Brown, Dr. Rachel Brown, for holding this tonight.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you. All right. That's amazing. It's so amazing to hear. Like, I don't know. I never heard these stories when I was in medicine. I just did not wake up, didn't get text messages to this stuff like this. So thank you for sharing. I don't know if you can see Rachel. Is it Rachel and Andy again? I think Susie also has her hand up, but I don't know who's.
Yeah, just one question from Andy this time. I like the analogy you say about it being a little bit similar to sunlight and how that then enables our body to create vitamin D. But the thing that I guess just been a bit concerned, have there been any studies done on the long-term effects of their use? You know, a bit like maybe you can have too much sunshine. Have there been any effects on people that have used them for long-term, like years at all? So
they were released in 2019. So it is only 5 years now, late 2019. He is doing longer term studies, and the most recent one that I had heard, which was when it was actually this past April, because my son, so another story, my son is in university and in the dorms, and you know, when you're in the dorms and you're around all the other kids, you're not eating well and you're on a screen and you're indoors, you don't get outside, like it's all bad stuff. And he's my kid that he's 20. He's the kid that got sick at like anyone near him that was sick, he'd get sick and he'd be out in bed. So he was just the one that caught everything. And I am getting to the study part. In April, he called me right before his exams. He's in engineering and he works his tail off. And before exams, he's like, Mommy, what can I do? Like, I can't get sick. Everyone around me is sick and my roommate's sick. And he's like, I can't get sick right now. And he is very diligent about using the patches. And he said to me as he was saying this, he said, you know what? He said, I haven't been sick all year. He said, everyone has been sick, you know, through Christmas, and he lives in Calgary, which is cold. I mean, lots of people say, well, everywhere in Canada is cold. That's not necessarily true, but he didn't get sick all year, and he's my kid that gets sick. Right. And then literally right after hearing this, I was listening to David Schmidt speaking, because I try to keep up on all the new stuff, and he's always sharing. He did a longer term study. So this was a year long, and it showed that wearing the patches for 1 year, it increased X39, it increased mitochondrial biogenesis in immune cells. So for people that are not aware, what that means is it increased the number of mitochondria in immune cells. So mitochondria are at the center of our health. They make the energy. They are so much more, but they are what we have been taught as the powerhouses of the cell. We need energy to run. No energy, no life. They increase the number of mitochondria in immune cells. So literally right after that, I was like, okay, well, now that makes sense. My son did not get sick. So that is the latest study that I had heard longer term, but he is conducting longer term studies. I don't know of other ones at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Susie.
Hi, I just wanted to add something because a couple of people I've spoken to have been a bit concerned about going online and seeing reports. So I did a big major research session, and there are lots of things that are negative, but actually if you start digging deep to see what supports them, there's no science behind them. And just one thing after the other, they were making statements, but there was nothing to support it. They even wrote papers on it, but there were no research, no references to anything. There was nothing. So it's just the point being, just be a bit aware that a lot of this stuff is, as Rachel said before, it's just kind of, there's always someone who's going to say a bad thing about it to try and put people off. So do your homework. The nice thing or the good thing about the patch is that there is a massive amount of research and peer-reviewed papers. So, and you don't get patents unless you've proven the technology. And with 200 patents, it's clearly proven. So just take this, do the homework, but it definitely stacks up for sure. And just, I've got a few testimonials, but I'll just do the quickest one, the shortest one. I had a friend of mine, flatmate, her niece fell in love with me when she was 4 because I had lots of teddies and she was really into teddies. So I've known her since she was 4 years old. And when she was 25, she came and stayed with me in London, had a terrible accident where she slipped on a wet floor, sorry, smashed the back of her head and fractured the base of the skull and also her back. And from that moment on, she's been in constant pain. She's had chiropractors, osteopaths, she's been in hospital, they couldn't do anything. And she has at least 2 very severe migraines which come up the side of her body. She knows it's coming, she can feel it, comes up her neck, into her head, zigzags across her face, and she's out for 24 hours. And she's on top end, or was on top end, migraine tablets. I stayed with her for a month last year, and a couple of times I said, try the patch. And she said, no, don't. Very old, just not going to work. I've been like this for years. It's just not going to happen. And one day she came to me and said, I'm getting another headache. And I said, stick the patch on. She came back an hour later and said, it's gone. It's completely gone. I've had this for 25 years and it's absolutely gone. And she takes the patches all the time. And she said, for sure, she didn't notice immediately, but she's realized there was this low-grade aching all over her body from the accident, particularly in this shoulder. She's even put the patch on now. She just does it herself. And she's noticed that the whole of her body, she definitely feels so much better when she's using it than when she isn't. But it absolutely smashed the migraines. She hasn't had a migraine for a year, and she'd lived with that for 25 years. So that was pretty phenomenal. So
amazing.
Wanted to share that.
Thank you, Susie. Thank you. And I just wanted to, as you were talking, I was listening, but I was also looking through the chat, and I just wanted to make sure that was clear that the company has distribution warehouses in every single country except for New Zealand, and I think it's the UK. They come from Ireland. New Zealand comes from Australia. But other than that, they're manufactured there's 2 places in the US and in Ireland, but there are warehouses in every other country. So for us in Canada, we get it shipped from Toronto area, just outside of Toronto. So wherever there isn't the international shipping stuff, except for that might happen for the UK and for New Zealand. So I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, Jack, you have another question. It's not Jack. It must be Jacqueline or.
Yeah. Sorry. it's just what you just said, actually. That's why I'm a bit confused, because the account that I'm logged into, it's all American, it's all dollars, and it doesn't, and I do know that there's a thing in Ireland because I rang them up once, and that was what dissuaded me, because the guy on the phone was really sort of like, oh no, you can't say that it does anything for pain, and he was so vague about everything. I kind of gave up. But you're saying that they would ship from Ireland for us, for the UK?
That is my understanding with all the people that I have signed up in the UK.
Okay, so would it, okay,
But
because
the person you rang was, you said, in Ireland?
yeah, but I've got an account with a login and ID number and everything. I've got that, but it's all in US, even though it's got England at the top of the screen.
For most countries, it is. Europe, what I've seen when I've helped people is it shows in euros. So I don't know who you signed up with or how
Well,
you.
mine's showing in dollars, and I signed up with Alex Zek, and he's American. So is that why?
No, mine is in dollars when I purchase. So
Oh, is
as
it?
far as I was aware, it was just always in dollars. That's what I've told people.
Okay, so
Um,
yes, Mary is saying too, UK people buy in US dollars. So it's some other countries it shows up in euros.
Yeah, because the shipping is quite a lot as well. I just thought it wouldn't be that much if it's shipping from Ireland.
Yeah, the shipping, unfortunately, it's all decided individually by the countries. That's not Lifewave. Like for us, the shipping in Canada, like it's each country that is deciding that.
So if I just go in, order, and just hope for the best then and see what happens, and don't worry about the Irish thing.
Well, what do you
Because if they're shipping it to a UK address, won't it sort itself out at the ordering point or not?
Yeah, there's no issue if it's shipping from, I just wanted people to know that, because so many people have said to me, oh, that, well, then there's going to be an extra charge for international shipping. But like for Canadians, no, it comes from just outside of Toronto. There's no extra charge. So the only two countries that don't get it from within are the UK and New Zealand. So that might be why the shipping might be a little bit more. I don't know.
Okay, but the fact that it's coming up in dollars and not pounds, don't
That's not a problem. There's no
no.
problem.
Okay, and the thing I don't understand as well, I'm just thinking, so for example, say I was wanting to get someone to try these, like I'm just thinking, as I'm an acupuncturist, and like thinking if I want to get patients to try this out, what would be the best way to do that? Would I just like
That's probably for another conversation, because every country is also different with their regulations of how healthcare practitioners what rules they have in place for that, right? Like as
Oh
a medical
no, that would be fine here. I'm thinking like literally if you just want to kind of get someone to try them, or get someone to try them, would you just give them your own and then just buy some more? How does it, or would you just refer them to the website? How would you get someone else to, does that make sense?
yeah, no, it's just a longer conversation. I'm just not sure this is the right.
Oh, okay, don't worry. It's just yeah, okay, fine, don't worry about it. I just wondered how it works, or how it all works. Because I
Yeah.
don't understand
This
this,
is where also when you sign up with myself or Rachel, because we're on the same team, we have all this extra support. And that's part of the problem when you sign up with like Alex Zek or one of those other people, you're left to your own device. You don't have the support. You don't have I don't know. You can reach
yeah.
Alex Zek and ask him. I don't know if you're going to get an answer. Like, I don't know how.
No, he doesn't answer. Can I not change to you then? Can I not change can I sort of sign up again for
How
So
did you get the invite for this meeting? That would be the best way to.
sorry, Rachel, I didn't hear what you said.
How did you get the invite for tonight's meeting?
From
Was
your
it from me?
Instagram. From
Oh,
your
was it from me?
yeah.
Well, yeah, then I'm happy for you to get in touch with me if you want to do that. That's no problem. I do
So
support
to
people
get
when they want
to get my
point.
existing account and then do a new one with you.
Yeah, if you want to do that, yeah, because I'm happy to answer questions as you go along if you need that kind of support.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Okay,
welcome.
I think that might be everything. So thanks so much, Rachel. Yeah, I'm just aware we could stay here for hours because I've got other examples as well, but I'm conscious of everyone's time, and yeah, it's getting a bit dark here, as you can see. So yeah, I just